Welcome everyone to episode 10 of the Al Heron Talks podcast. We are joined by our good friend, Mississippi's own Benita Love is hanging out with us today. It's always great when we have our co-host with us. And then and she didn't want to miss today because we have such a special guest, a very special guest. Yes. This is and so I think I get in trouble for saying these kind of things sometimes because people are like, no, I've had this happen where somebody. So I referenced our guest today as my favorite real estate agent in
number
the
one favorite because you.
So okay, let me not do that. Let's not do
you
that.
Have favorites.
So I do have favorites.
Okay.
So one of the favorites. So we'll do it like that. So just like I always say this, like NBA players have favorite players in the league, right? So they're like, oh no, that's my favorite player. Maybe not favorite, but one of my favorites. So I'll do it like that because when
she is. It's okay.
No, she is. No, but there's a lot of grief that comes with
That'll be all right.
Other people are like, but no, for real, that's what's up. I mean,
Be okay.
I mean, people they get serious about this stuff, and I have a lot of real estate agents that I just think are the absolute best. This industry has so many just exceptional people to do this and succeed at a business like this. It takes a certain skill set. It takes just kind of a mindset that most people will never be able to comprehend, because this is one of those businesses where you can decide if you're going to be a failure. You can decide if you'll be a success. You can decide if you're going to be just like everybody else. It all rides on you.
Yeah.
And so there are some people who are able to get into this thing and just create something that is just so impressive. And so I like people who look at this as a business. You're not simply a real estate agent working for a company. You are an independent contractor who has the ability to create a business, and not just a business. I mean, a business that can provide for your children's children if you do it the right way, right? And so there's not a whole bunch of those people out there. And so when you do encounter somebody who is like that and has that mindset and that drive, and especially if they come from a place where that was probably not predicted, like if you looked at their background and look at the circumstances, you wouldn't say, oh, okay, yeah, this person is going to be a dominant real estate agent in Collin County, right? This young lady from Oak Cliff and kind of a rough beginning and, all kind of, family stuff and all that. And you would say, if somebody looked at that, they would say, no, maybe they can have a fairly successful real estate career, but, it'll be just, so-so. It'll be enough for them to make a living and, have fun, take vacations and stuff, but not build this mega business that our guest has built. And so without further ado, we may as well say who our guest is. We have today here at our podcast studio, even though I'm still calling this the Monument Realty Podcast Studio, right? At least the Arlington way. We don't have this anyway. So we're at Nouveau Desk. Let's do it like that because we want to give Nouveau Desk their props, right?
Get some sponsorships.
Yeah, man. We'll start working on that part later. We gotta get up. We gotta get up to more than 7 viewers and stuff. We gotta get. We have more people than that.
7.
I know. I'm always gonna downplay it a little bit, but so Tanisha Lusk is our special guest today, and Tanisha is just an exceptional, not just real estate agent. She's an exceptional businesswoman.
I just work hard.
Yeah, and that's like I always have a go-to phrase. I just work hard. And so she has been able to build something and create something in a relatively short period of time. It's not like you've been doing this forever and a day.
It felt like it sometimes, but no.
I'm sure it does. But you haven't been out there forever. I've been doing this since the 1900s.
You like to say that.
I mean, when you think about it,
what actual year of the 1900s?
The 1900s, so 1994.
Yeah, that's
right?
1900s.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good one.
That's the 1900s, right? And so, there was let's see how I can kind of just go all over the place. So let me tell you this, because this happened the other day. This is funny. my sister's telling me that one of her good friends came home and her child, who's probably a first grader, I think,
Yeah.
they were talking about American history, and they started talking about slavery in particular. And so when the
I know her.
The
Is she first grade?
when the mother picked the child up, the child was real kind of quiet and stuff on the
How was
ride
slavery?
home.
Right.
So
Right.
quiet on the ride home, and then she was like, "Hey, what's everything? You good? What's going on?" And she said to her, the daughter said to the mother when they got home, "Did you cry when you were a slave? Did you cry when you were a slave?" And she was like, "What?" She was like, "No, back when you were a slave." And she
Back
had to break
then.
it down to her that said, "I was never a slave." And that's, that was a long time ago. Your mama's not that old, basically, right?
Yeah.
But you have
kids
to-
be thinking.
Well,
you
kids,
know,
they
yeah.
don't know.
They learn about history. So my kids say back in the day.
Back in the day.
I say that about
And I'm like,
the 1900s.
they say like the early 1900s. And I'm like, what do you mean the 1900s? Like,
Right.
So are they really saying the 1900s now?
They do say
are.
1900s,
They
yeah.
don't say 1995. They say the
No.
1900s.
My
when they
kids say
learn
the
about the
1900s.
kids. So in school, when they learn about the history, in the books, you say the early 2000s,
Right.
1900s. So they,
They sure do.
Yeah.
They do.
Aw.
My kids will say that. When my kids were young, my oldest, who's now at junior at Texas Tech, so that's how old he is now. But back when he was maybe in first grade, I remember him asking me, "Hey, when did things? What was the phrase? When did things become in color?"
Wait, were you around when?
So in other words, because he saw that there were black and white pictures, he
Right.
thought the world was black and white at one point. And so he's trying to figure out when did things
Oh, he meant not TV.
Aw,
he meant the
the
actual
world.
world.
Oh,
the
that's
world,
so
yeah.
cute.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cute. That is cute. Aw.
Yeah. And I was like,
Aw.
That's
you
cute.
know,
So innocent. Oh,
Right.
yeah. But, I was like, yeah, hey.
Like,
But that's
damn.
because, we had stuff around and he saw me in
Yeah.
black and white pictures and
Yeah.
stuff. Why was I in black and white pictures, though?
I'm about to say, why were you in black and white pictures?
But there was black and white pictures. Remember, Polaroid was black and white, and then they turned to color because you.
Right. But they turned the color.
they turned to color.
Right.
Exactly, they turned to color.
Now I'm thinking,
Maybe that was an upgraded version. Maybe the camera that
Yeah,
we
maybe-
had was black and white.
Maybe we had the non-deluxe version. We had the
Yeah.
basic
Yes,
Kodak
that's
basic.
the
So
basic.
it's
We're like, nah, you don't get color with this camera.
Yeah.
That's probably
No,
why.
I can't picture me. Well,
Because when they printed it, they probably gave an option, maybe.
Or maybe your picture's so old it was color and they
So
turned
there
Yeah,
we
it
go.
black
See-
and
when
white.
it
see how
turns. Yeah.
See what we
when
doing?
especially that brown color, it kind of
Yes,
turns
there
a
you
little
go.
bit. I'm just saying.
yeah.
I just want to say, though, I am glad that the little girls' school was teaching them about slavery.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, especially here in Texas, since nobody wants to acknowledge slavery in the past. But that's a whole other thing. So anyway, we digress. Let's get back on track.
Okay. About Miss Tanisha.
So Tanisha, before we
Yes.
really get into your backstory, we like to ask questions that will let people kind of know who you are. Now, for me, I got to really know you really after your success. I mean, you were already fairly successful when I first encountered you. But then when I really got to know you, you were already like, you were Tanisha Lusk, right? And I was like, okay, this
Tanisha
is
Lusk.
the Tanisha Lusk. All
I
right,
heard
I
about
see.
her. I didn't know. Well, I heard
Yeah,
about Tanisha
and
Lusk.
then
I'm
they were
dang.
like, yeah, she's from, she was killing it north, right? She's up in Frisco, Plano, doing all that stuff, and they were like, but she's from Lancaster. Lancaster.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
It struck me as Lancaster, but then I heard you say Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Nah,
Not
you do.
Lancaster.
No,
Okay, 'cause
you
listen,
said Lancaster.
I've
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Lancaster, like they say in
Lancaster.
Lancaster. Like you got to put a U on it.
Lancaster.
Lank.
Went to Lancaster Middle School, Lancaster High School, Lancaster track
You got a
team.
UH
Lancaster-
Like, so you saying it now? As you saying it now, Lancaster. There's a U.
Yeah, it's like a UH
Yeah,
at the end.
UH.
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. See, he said that you went to what school again?
Lancaster Middle School, Lancaster High School, Lancaster Track, Lancaster Volleyball.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, you're right. She's from Lancaster.
Yes.
Lancaster or Oak Cliff, because
Yes.
you actually
I went to R.L. Thornton.
R.L. Thornton.
From first to sixth grade. Went to Joe McCullough for preschool. Joe McCullough was across the street from the VA.
Okay.
I love that school. So shout out to everybody who went to Joe McCullough.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
R.L.
go shout
Thornton.
R.L. Thornton. Yeah, go shout out. R.L. Thornton is still today considered one of the best elementary
I
schools
love that school.
in DISD.
Where'd you graduate high school?
Lancaster.
Oh, okay, Lancaster.
Yeah, I wish he was on the track team and volleyball
Volleyball,
team. You didn't hear
yes.
her add that in there.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now, tell me this, Tanisha. If you are, about to take on the day, and so you're driving somewhere and you need some hype music or whatever you do, it may not be hype music. Well, I don't know what you listen to, but what do you, if you say, okay, look, I'm about to go in here and slay this thing. I'm about to really, they gonna know who Tanisha is. So what music are we listening to as we drive in some place about
I
to?
mean, you got your crunk music. So, I mean, I like a little good T.I., a lot of good, what's that song? The Yin Yang Twins.
Oh,
Yin Yang Twins. She took it back.
Yin Yang Twins. Yeah, you back.
Wait, which Yin Yang Twins?
So I do. I love the dirty
The Dirty South.
trap music.
Okay.
Though, like that's the music where it get me crunk. I get and put you in your element. That's the music I listen to. And if anything, I listen to music if I'm stressed. Right.
Okay.
So I'll listen to it if I'm stressed. I need to decompress.
You listen to that if you're
yes,
stressed?
I need to like dance and get
Okay.
loose and
Okay.
take it back to the 90s club.
To 90s.
Early
Okay, I was gonna say because it
2000s
sounds like that's where you went late 90s.
I'm about to say
Late
yeah,
Early
yeah, it's like
2000s.
2000.
Late
Yeah,
90s,
T.I.
early
yeah, yeah,
2000s.
yeah.
Right, 'cause I
So
don't
you
know
like
when
all
it-
that Atlanta rap then.
Yes.
You talking about T.I.
I like
Yin
that
Yang?
South. So
Yeah,
I
you
like
the
that South
the
music.
real Southern. Yeah.
I love the East Coast rap. So
Okay.
I love Nas.
Okay.
I like that rap because
Okay.
they're talking about life, but they're talking about like they're not complaining, right? Sometimes you hear the rap and they hear about the struggles, but I feel like they're complaining.
Okay.
Whereas with the East Coast rap, they talk about how they use it to elevate themselves, and so I listen to you.
Okay. So your South, right? So Outkast and T.I.
yes.
and all
Yes.
that, but not like UGK and
You
okay.
don't like the Houston? Oh, okay.
No.
Not
Yeah, the
Texas.
Houston stuff is
I'm
no
surprised. Most of y'all Texans got
Okay.
a bit. Yeah.
Interesting. That is very interesting. And so and Yin Yang Twins, you brought us a name from. I don't even know whether does anybody
not
does
expecting
anybody
Yin-
know where the Yin Yang Twins are? They probably
They was on something doing like a rap challenge.
Oh,
and
really?
they had to take their song and use different words in the song. I can't remember what show that was on. I was like,
okay.
oh, that's where they've been.
Huh, I
They
thought
old. They real old.
might have been at an Amazon fulfillment
No.
center or something.
Wow. Don't do them like that.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I hadn't heard them in so long. It's-
They are around though. Not,
Are they?
yeah. Not,
Okay.
they still make money.
Well, shout out to the Yin Yang Twins. They got a concert
This
coming
girl
up.
said they got a concert.
I tell you what, if the Yin Yang Twins were performing in my backyard,
You want no?
I wouldn't go.
Wow.
Why?
In fact, I'd call the cops.
To the windows, to the wall.
That's-
I ain't saying the word.
Right.
I would call the cops and tell them there's a disturbance over here. Can y'all get the Yin Yang Twins out of my backyard?
That
So,
was a song back in the day.
yeah,
Was.
You had the
It
girls
was.
sing one side, you had the guys.
Oh,
sing one-
okay.
Yeah.
that's good.
I
You,
ain't gonna say the words, but yeah.
right. What, and so you're born in
82.
82. 1982. So and that's right. You kind of like
Yeah.
music from the 80s, even though
I
you were
like
really
I
young.
like 80s.
They are.
Marcel.
Oh.
In New
background
Orleans.
looking
Okay.
up.
Look more
Like
so.
I like Sheila E. I used to listen to Sheila E. When I say listen to, it wasn't by choice.
I was gonna say
I was
you
young.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
that
Sheila
was
E. I remember they had their album cover. They were in lingerie, and I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, like that. Like singing that, like it told me something different. I didn't see sexual. I saw sexuality power.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the 80s, when you see stuff like that, you're supposed to close your eyes.
Right.
right? But to see that on an album cover, I was
Right.
like, oh, I want to be like
Mhm.
that.
You want,
So she
you want to be like she was.
like 5 years
All
old
right.
trying to be.
Yeah, five.
But everybody's like, don't show your booty, you know.
Right,
but I'm
right.
like, but they
Yeah.
were just showing a totally different power.
Right.
So that caught my eye. Of course, Nita Baker. I love Anita
Ah,
Baker.
Okay.
I love Prince.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to sneak and watch his movies at night. I
So,
wanted to marry Prince.
You want to marry?
actually,
Did you want to marry Under the Cherry Moon Prince? Under the Cherry Moon Prince was. A
I
little
wanted
different.
to marry the Color Purple Prince. I mean, not Color Purple.
Yeah,
Purple
Purple Rain Prince.
Purple Rain
Purple
Prince.
Rain Prince. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted him to click clack with them heels on in the kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted that.
Y'all would have been about the same height.
We would have, but I wanted that Prince.
That
I've
Prince.
never, my mom loves Prince, but I've never looked at him in that way. I love his
I
music,
did.
but I never looked at him in like a.
He
want to
is
marry
just-
him.
Yes, I did. I wanted to marry him.
It was, that was the thing. The '80s. That was.
It was
Yeah.
Prince.
It was
Michael
Prince or Michael.
Jackson. Yes.
Yeah.
And we had a Michael Jackson doll. So Michael Jackson doll was Barbie's husband. We had a Michael Jackson doll
Okay.
with the red coat and everything and had
Yeah.
a glove.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
Yes.
Why do I feel like that probably would have been scary to me?
Oh, Michael Jackson.
Michael
doll.
Jackson doll.
Well, that was the thrill of Michael. It wasn't
Yeah,
the later
it was,
Michael.
Oh yeah, no, it was the brown Michael.
Yeah, later Michael probably was scary.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know.
That's true. That's true.
So
Yeah, Thriller Michael was actually good looking and yeah.
Thriller Michael was the dude. I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson was the man, and still
Mhm,
today,
still.
the Thriller album is great, but I think there are times actually like Off the Wall better than
Yeah.
than Thriller.
Yes. Yeah.
Great music. Michael
Yes.
Jackson's awesome. So
Yes.
good. So you do listen to stuff other than
I listen to everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I listen to everything. Of course, nowadays, I'm like my parents now, right? I can't listen to regular like
right the stuff
stations.
that's
Oh my gosh, I'm like, what are y'all kids like listening to? Like
Right.
this is trash.
It is trash.
To the point where we introduce our kids to the 90s music and early 2000s, and now my middle son is like, mommy, I love 90s R&B, and
Okay.
he's
How old is he?
he's 12.
Okay.
So nowadays, I don't know what music is out there. And typically, if I'm in a car, I'm listening to a podcast,
Right.
or I'm just turning everything off, and I'm like meditating, mentally processing, preparing my mind for wherever I'm about to go to, and just stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. So, let's get into your upbringing, because it was it's very unique when somebody first meets you now and they talk to you and kind of see your family element, you with your kids and
Yes.
husband and all that kind of stuff. They would probably think more of a Huxtable
Yes.
type
Yes.
upbringing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
With
Yes.
growing up like Denise and Rudy and
Yeah, no.
all of them.
Yeah.
Was it quite like that?
No, we were like, I remember as I got older, I remember telling my dad, why you didn't tell we were poor? Like, why you didn't tell me we were poor, right? Like,
Now, when are you saying this to your dad? You're talking about
like
later or
later
while this
on, I guess you can say when I became a parent.
is okay.
And you start really analyzing how much stuff costs, and then you try to find loopholes because you're like, I ain't paying for that, I ain't had the money, but let me still try to figure out a way to get it. But yeah, growing up, my parents were teenage parents, and so they didn't get the opportunity to go to college. And so, of course, I'm pretty sure that wasn't my grandmother's dream for my dad. My mom's parents passed away when she was young. So she was kind of like trying to find her way, because now her family structure has gone away. And so she moved here with her aunt, and that's how she met my dad. So my dad, family's from East Texas, very traditional, but my dad also lived in a household without his dad. So it was kind of like, my grandmother, them got a divorce. My grandmother had 4 kids, so she was a single mom of 4 kids, moved down to Dallas to kind of get better start for them. And then after that, my daddy never saw his dad ever again.
Oh, wow.
To the point where, if I remember correctly, I The first and only time I remember meeting my dad's dad was he was in the casket.
Mm.
And so
See, I didn't really meet.
no,
Yeah.
So you know,
I want to correct that. Yeah,
he met
'cause
it. I mean, he
you
met me.
saw it.
Spirit. I mean,
Well, okay.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, he saw me. I don't know. I saw,
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. I mean, my upbringing wasn't bad,
Right.
but I mean, there was a lot of expectations that were not fulfilled. Right. My grandmother pretty much probably wanted my dad to go to college.
Sure.
And, but my mom and my dad got pregnant with me. They were like 17. So my mom was pregnant with me on their prom picture.
Mm.
So it was just kind of like, my mom meeting my dad. And so now my dad's family become my mom's family. So it's like a big unit. But as you get older, you understand certain things. And so as I've gotten older and learned a lot, the things that happened to my mom and their family was traumatic. Her mom died when she was 4. Her dad died when she was 12, 14. And then the one home that she knew after her dad passed away, she got kicked out from it. So her life was dysfunctional. So of course that goes into you, and she meets my dad. And my dad is, of course, probably dealing with his issues of his dad not being in his life. So when you get those two together, all they want to do for their child is to protect them, right? To protect them for what they've experienced, and probably the same expectations and hope and dreams that my grandparents had for them. Not knowing that what they wanted for me and what they knew to do as parents was to protect me and keep me safe. It was actually not mixing. So they was oil, I was water.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. So, and I get that. So there, you're right. There were things I'm sure that they wanted to do for you or provide for you, or a path they wanted to chart for you, but they had limitations.
Yeah.
I mean, they had some significant limitations because of their upbringings. And so somebody like you, and when they have a child, they bring their child into the world, and they're trying to parent one way, but they have the skills to only parent a certain way. It creates a situation where you might have a product, a child who is a little bit rebellious, right?
Yes.
Is going to kind of do her own thing, and I think that is what they did find themselves with.
So that's what they did. So I'm the oldest of two sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay.
So we are a blended family. Me and my second sister, well, my next sister in line, we have the same mom, same dad.
Okay.
And then I have another sister, we have the same mom, different dad. But my dad claims her as his child. Okay. And then I have 2 brothers. We have the same dad, but different moms. So that's my stepmom. So literally our dynamic, when you say blended,
It's
blended.
Yeah.
Like my mom came over for holidays. My dad claims my sister as his, even though it's not his. And my mom and my dad was not together during that time. So it's definitely blended. So with them, my dad jokingly make comments and say, raising me, after raising me and getting ready to raise the other kids was so much easier.
Right. You made it easy.
They were like, we went through everything with Tanisha. And me and my sister were only 2 years apart. So I was like, dang, how much did I put? Like, dang, was I that bad?
Yeah,
Like,
you were. Anyway.
So, growing up, like, I didn't have a lot of people to understand me. Because one thing that you have to understand, especially when you are a parent, and I understand it now because I have kids of my own, the thing you try to hide about yourself are going to show up in your kids. Okay? So my mom is very feisty, know what she wants, very dominant. My dad is very dominant and controlling, but it's easier for a guy to live in an element than a woman.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, do you think that's a nature thing or a nurture thing? Do you think that it's just in your DNA because of who your parents were,
I'm
or
glad
do you
you
think
asked
it's-
me that
yeah.
because I have gone through therapy for that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I've gone through psychotherapy. Thank God for Nikki, because I wanted to understand that. Okay, so I wanted to be able to break it down, and I asked myself that question.
Okay.
Just to get very transparent with you guys, when you're married, and I got married at such a young age, I got married at 24, 25. And so I was already in the family role because I had a son and he had a daughter. So I was already, like, even being that young, I was already living the life as if I had a family. But because of who I was naturally, a lot of people didn't understand me. So I was like, okay, instead of fighting, let me try to blend in. And I started modeling of how women are supposed to show up in a marriage, or how a woman's supposed to show up as a mom in a household. And I started realizing that I'm making everybody else happy, but I'm not happy. And I needed to take a step back and say, what did God make me? And he did not make a mistake, but how can I still be who I am and also bring smiles and joy to the people around me? And so that's when, things started evolving. And, when you've been married for so long and you grow up in the marriage, because that's what we did. We grew up in a marriage together. Your desires and what you're wanting are totally different from the beginning.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So as things started change, my husband was wanting me to do more of what I was doing before. But in my head, I'm like, I'm doing this. I don't want to do it. So you better be happy I'm doing this.
So when you say do more of what you were doing, but when you were not pretending, but when you were trying to be what society says.
Society says that a woman's supposed to take care of the house, keep the house clean. Right. You never invite anybody over and your house is dirty. Make sure your kids got something to eat, and you can't, you got to cook the food.
Sure. Right.
Like the whole stereotypes of what it means to, what people say it means to be a wife and a mom. Whereas I don't neglect my kids and I don't neglect my family, but I don't give a crap who cooks the food.
Right.
As long as we eat,
As
we
long
good.
as you
Right.
eat, I don't care,
Right.
and I don't care that my house looks a mess. Why? Because we live in our
Exactly.
house. Can you still sit on the toilet and it's clean?
Right.
Yes, that's all that matters.
Right. The bathroom's clean.
The bathroom's
Right.
clean.
Right.
The bathroom's clean. The kitchen's clean.
Right.
But everything else may be a mess.
Right.
We live in our house, right? So, those are certain things that you have the expectations of a woman. And because we grew up together, my husband wanted more things. It's not that I was lacking. He wanted more. He wanted more out of his family, out of his life. And as me being his wife. And the things that he wanted, I was like, I can't do that. Right? But me, I'm not when I tell myself I can't, I'm limiting myself. And when I said that out loud, I said, you done lost your doggone mind. Let me understand this, because I'm not saying that I can't do something. So I tell in my house, I would rather for you to curse than to say you can't. Because anybody has a capability to do anything. If you say I can't, that's because you're choosing to. And you need to say, I choose not to do this, because nobody in our household is handicapped, right? You have the ability to do anything that you want. So when I was telling myself that, I was like, no, it's not that I can't. I choose not to do this, but let me understand why I choose not to do this. Is this part of my DNA, or is this part of my nurture and nature, right? Is this part of because of the environment that I grew up in? And I went through therapy to really understand that, because I told myself I would never say I can't ever again. Where now somebody asked me, I was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm choosing not to do that.
Right.
Because that doesn't make me happy.
Right. Because the true answer is not I can't. You
Yeah.
could if you wanted to
Yeah.
do it. And so now if you knew, so that, that says a lot about it, because that's in you. Evidently, anybody who encounters you knows that's kind of your mindset about anything. But if we can rewind just a little bit back to your upbringing before
Where did it come from?
Yeah, so you explained to us about your mom. Your mom was a little more liberal
Yes.
than your dad.
Yes.
She's from California,
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
different lifestyle.
Yes.
and she was the kind of the driving force. It was
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you know, whatever, you can do whatever you want to
Yes.
do, right?
Yes.
And so that, again, you know, nature, nurture, whatever it was, but that came from her. I'm
Yes,
assuming.
that came from her. And then, you know, my dad. So my dad was he's grown now and he's evolved over time. But growing up, he was very traditional.
Right.
To the point where he didn't want me to shave my legs.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, excuse me, sir. Like, my legs look like yours. Like, I want to shave my legs. Like, he was very traditional. And his motto was, the woman takes care of the house and the guy takes care of outside the house.
Okay.
And we have conversations.
What did that have to do with your legs being shaved, though?
That's traditional. Women don't shave their legs.
Really? Where's
It's like, if you think
what's
about
that?
it, okay, something as simple as women wearing red lipstick.
Okay.
Women painting their nails red, right? So back in the day, when
Yeah.
you do that, you're putting yourself out
Yeah.
sexually,
Oh.
and you're
okay.
opening up the doors.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
That
right.
was it.
And your dad was from
He's-
East Texas,
mhm,
right?
mhm. So
Okay.
being his first girl,
Right.
right?
Yeah, he's
Wanting
trying
to
He didn't
protect
want-
her,
right,
Yeah,
right.
he's trying to
wanting to
protect you,
protect
yeah.
me. He's like, nope, can't wear red lipstick,
Yeah.
can't wear red nail polish, can't wear shave your legs. And I'm thinking like, you need to tell me something other than you don't want me to do that. I need
Right.
an explanation.
As to why. Yeah. And so I can also understand too, he's trying to break a cycle here. So he's
Yeah.
probably like, look, I don't
But
want
to
to get her
have you
half
out here,
there.
yeah.
Mhm.
She'll fool around and be pregnant. I don't want her going
Right.
the
The
same
minute
way.
she shaves her legs.
When she shaves her legs.
Shave your legs. You wilding
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
man.
she's
I just
wilding
shaved my
out.
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have her out here looking like Sasquatch. They won't be trying to get up on her then because she a little furry. But yeah,
yes.
He not realize that they don't care.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they don't care. They don't care. They ain't touching the legs.
I know. I was at an age I cared.
So,
Yeah, but so here's the deal. So it's been instilled in you early on that if you do want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You had a sense of it's on me. I can make stuff happen. I can do things. I don't have to. There are limitations. You understand things as limitations.
Yes.
But you also understood, though, if I really want something, if I really want to do this, there is a way to make it happen.
So I would say the want to part probably came from because I am the first grandchild. I am the daughter, right? Our family on my dad's side, which I didn't know much about my mom's family, but my dad, which I spent a lot of time on my dad's side, we were predominantly males. So I was catered to, like, I guess you can say taken care of by my uncles and cousins, and then of course my aunts and stuff, because I was this precious baby, right? And the precious baby, and this baby is beautiful, and this baby come out with blue gray eyes, and it's like I was like I told you, like a porcelain doll. And they took care of me. I got what I wanted. Even sometimes, I think I told you the story. One time I wanted these shoes from Montgomery Ward, and my cousin and my aunt took me there. And it was just these brown sandals. And I remember what they looked like. And I wanted them shoes. And I think I was like 3. Yeah, I think I was 3 or 4. And they're like, no. Like, they told me no. And I told them, I said, if you don't go get my shoes, I'm going to catch my bus. And I'm going home.
Wait a minute.
I was 3.
At 3.
Yes.
What bus?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
It was, so my aunt and them lived over there by Bauman Lake. That was nothing but buses. I mean, I knew where the bus stops were,
Right.
you
So
know?
you gotta get your little 3-year-old.
I was-
okay.
And that's the thing. And people are like, where is this? But I've always been raised up by around adults
Right.
because I'm the first, right? There was no other kids around me.
Yeah.
So I was always raised as an adult. So I guess I was always to think like an adult.
Right.
So my thought was, you don't give me what I want, I'm catching the bus. And my cousin said, well, how you going to get there? Where's your money? You're going to give me 25 cents and I'm going to catch this bus. And they literally told me that I walked to the door to leave, but I couldn't leave because I couldn't reach.
You couldn't reach you couldn't open the door.
I couldn't reach it. So that comes from like me knowing that I want, and I guess it also taught I deserve it, right? Of course, you get older and you start realizing that just because you want don't mean you deserve or you want, you get it. So of course you learn that as you get older.
Sure.
But my dad always, he always instilled affirmations. Like, there was a combination of, I'm not going to say good or bad because it's not an opinion, but there was some that I couldn't relate to and some that he could relate to. But, the affirmation of like, hey, like anything you want, you just got to go work hard to get it.
Right.
And then he'll use him as an example, or my mom will use herself as an example. Hey, I had you at 17 and we never been without a home. We never been without food on the table. I used to see her going like what I growing up because we were on a low income whatever. I didn't know we were poor. And I'm not saying poor where we didn't have food to eat. I just didn't know that we were living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And so on the weekends we used to go to Joe McCullough, the owner's house in Singing Hills. And my mom used to take me and my sister. We used to go over there on the weekends. I thought we were going over there to play with her granddaughter. My mom was going there to clean and work off the daycare bill. I didn't know. Like I had no idea. But seeing both sides of my family, that no matter what dynamic they were in, they were going to work.
Right.
They did not allow anything that happened in their life as an excuse and say, well, I didn't go to college and I gotta do this.
Right.
No, it's like, I didn't go to college.
So
I still got to do this.
Right.
I may have to do it harder, but I'm still going to do this.
Right. It's almost like I didn't go to college, so I have to go do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
We're gonna have to
this
make
is what
it
I got to do.
regardless.
Because exactly. So the result still has to be there. Food still has to be on the table, right?
Things still has to get
Right.
done. So that taught me that there is no excuses.
Right.
Right.
So when people's like, how do you have that mentality? Because there's no excuses. The only excuses that you have are excuses that you give yourself.
Right.
And even excuses that you give yourself, you can't figure out a way beyond those excuses. Now you just have to ask yourself, do you want to do the work? Do you want to go through that and do it? Because it ain't easy.
Right.
Damn sure it ain't easy.
Right.
Because there were so many times I was like, I just want to be a trophy wife.
Okay.
So that's a lot different from this rebel who was gonna do everything for herself. But then
But I know that that's in me. So when you ask me that, is that part of who I am or is that nature? I've already researched that and I've already done the work to understand that that's part of me because that brings me joy. It brings me joy because I know that the work I'm doing may look like I'm doing it for myself because I'm reaping the benefits for the present time, but I'm doing it for the future. I'm doing it for anybody else who is watching me that I don't know that they're watching. So I remember at Aria Thornton, I can't remember her name, but I had amazing teachers there. But there was a teacher there, and she said this to me, and it stuck out on me. Actually, two teachers. My music teacher, I don't know how we started talking about the Bible, but they started talking about the redemption. And I remember her saying that she was explaining to us what the redemption was and all that in the Bible. Nowadays, you can't talk about that in school. But she was talking about that. And I remember she said, there are going to come a time where you're going to be sitting next to somebody and they're going to be gone. And you're going to have to ask yourself, did I do everything I can to ensure that I got the ticket to get somewhere? Right? So I remember that. The another thing was that another teacher told me, she said, because we had bad kids. So back in the day, teachers were allowed to walk around with pedals in their paddles.
oh yeah.
And like they were stained, glossed.
Yeah, they hooked them up. Some of them had aerodynamic, or some of them had holes in them, so they can kind of get that extra suction. Yeah,
I mean, they were like artwork.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
back in the 1900s.
1900s. And so I think it was her, Miss Scott. Miss Scott was the one who, Miss Scott and I think Miss Douglas was the main teacher who, and they were women who had their paddles. So anyway, so one of them said, how you show up in this classroom is representation of your parents. Those are the two things that I remember in elementary school, and I use that on my journey. So like I said, when I'm doing things and I'm accomplishing things, yes, I'm get to reap the results for the present, but my future, as far as my grandkids and my kids, can reap the results, and my ancestors and my parents can reap the results. Because no matter any room that you're in or what you do, how you show up is representation. But I took it deeper. It's representation of who your parents are and who your ancestors are.
Nice. I didn't think about it like that. Now I remember always telling our kids when they would go places, look, when you leave out of here, you represent us. So when what you say, what you do, how you act, all of that, when people see you and how you put yourself out there, that reflects on us. And so don't go out here and make us look crazy.
Yeah. So
Right.
I had to go deeper because there are times you don't like your parents.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
There are times you're like, I don't like it. I don't care how I show up out here. So I had to take it deeper.
So you had to go to the answer while the ancestors got pulled in.
I had to go to my grandma,
Okay.
right? I love to this
Let
day.
me represent her.
Yes, let me
Right.
represent my grandmama, right? But I mean, that's to be honest. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
kids, like, if you tell them that at the wrong time, they're gonna be like, chunk the deuces.
Yeah.
I'm about to show him. How I show it here is I'm just gonna let you know how pissed off I am about you. So
Thank God for your grandma.
yes. So that's how I kind of understood. Okay, is this who I am as a person, or is this who I am because of the environment that I grew up? And yes, it is a combination of both. But when I did the work, I was like, I am a go-getter. And I have a coach, and so she tells me all the time, like, I've done psychology work with her. She's like, you are a trusted advisor. You will do what is good at the expense of others, and you don't care what the result is. And that maybe come from me being the oldest. I don't know. But I know when I do it, it brings me joy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm putting any extra work. So when I think about that, I was like, that's my DNA.
All right.
That is just who I am regardless, and that's how I've always shown up. So
Yeah. So what were you a good student? You were.
I was.
Okay.
I was a good, yes, I was. I followed the teachers. Cause I mean, I've been raised in Area Thornton with the paddle. You be like, you think every teacher is like that, right?
Right.
And then your parents tell you, teacher better not call me on my job.
Right.
If I gotta leave my job and come to that school, it's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
So, you have no choice but to be good. I was good. I was, in elementary, I was gifted, talented. Not really. I was a business owner then.
Okay.
So in gifted, talented, you go to class, but then you get to go to the gifted and talented, and you get to do like creative stuff. And I used to make Christmas shirts for the teachers.
Okay.
So what was it, Michael's? I think it was
nice.
Michael's. No, I sold it to them. I didn't give it to them.
These weren't Christmas gifts.
No,
These aren't gifts.
I sold them the shirts.
I love it.
We used to go to Michael's and get a sweatshirt and do their iron on, and then all you do is outline it with the glitter paint, and I would sell it to them.
How much you
And
sell it for?
I don't remember. I sold them,
Oh,
and
they
then
teach you
I learned how to
sewing.
crochet. I used to make crochet purses, and I would sell those. Yeah, I've always.
She already selling shirts
Yeah,
for
that's
teachers.
that's all right though. I love it. And they were buying them. You had a market.
them.
Yeah, they were buying.
Right.
And then, like always, I got bored, and I was like, "Oh, this is boring. Let me figure something else out."
Them. Okay, you left that alone.
Yeah.
So, high school,
Yes.
you were on the track team, volleyball team. So you were a little bit of an athlete.
Yes.
Were you a good athlete?
I was a great athlete. Kudos to Coach Humphrey, who is still state champs, record breaker, all that.
Okay.
She,
Oh, that's right. So yeah. So you were even on those teams.
You're talking about discipline.
Uh-huh.
Discipline. Usually when you hear women in sports, you typically hear not so good things, right? Like you typically hear, they are trying to act like a boy and all those things. Being part of like the Lancaster Tigers athletic department, especially with Coach Humphrey and then also Coach Glenn. Coach Glenn is a product of Coach Humphrey, so I got a chance to experience her in junior high with track. So they're very feminine, whereas they will tell us, like, when you have a track meet or you come to practice, your hair, like, you can't come looking raunchy. Like, they were very adamant on that. So they changed my perception of what is to be like a woman in sports. You can still be a woman and you can still also like sports.
Right.
So yeah, like, yeah, So where now, even if it's been a while since I've been to a track meet, but when we used to do track, we were very uniform, and I say uniform in discipline. We all had the same from head to toe. Our shades were the same, our shoes were the same, our socks were the same, our outfits was the same. When we got off the bus, we had to put all our bags on the right shoulder.
Okay.
As we get off the bus and we walk to the track, we did that. Once we got to the middle of the track, we had a workout. We did all together on the same count. And the discipline part was after you finish running your race, we could, how most time people bend over and on their knees?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Nope. You couldn't show that.
You couldn't show the exhaustion.
You
had
couldn't
to
show that.
Wow.
You could not show that. So if you're retired, you better, Coach Army said, you better walk to that tent. I don't want to catch you laying down. I don't want to catch you bending over. You better walk it out.
Okay.
So the discipline comes with that, and then is that I've had a lot of touches in my life, and I give it to God because there was a lot of things that I didn't know I needed. That God placed people in my life that as I grow and mature, I can go back to a certain part or a certain place that I'm trying to go to in life and say, oh, that's that person.
Yeah. And that's good that you're able to recognize that and acknowledge that because, really it's true for all of us. There are certain people that we've encountered throughout life that have poured into us, have influenced us, some for the good, some for the bad, but all those interactions kind of make you who you are. So, okay. And so we graduate from high school. And then what do we do? Where do we go now? So, because I would imagine now we're especially with this personality, we're probably at a stage where now, I'm grown.
Right. Freedom now.
Oh, yes.
So how does this work?
Yes. So graduated high school, parents were excited, pick a college, chose to go to University of Houston. I had a cousin who was at TSU, so I think she's two years older than me, 2 or 3, 2 years older than me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to Houston because I was like, I'm not like, I'm trying to get out my dad. Like,
you didn't want to be around
I
here.
did not want to be around my daddy. I was like, I am out, chunk the deuces. I wanted to be where you can still get to me. Because remember, I'm a type of person where I don't want your help.
Right, but I want to know you're there.
When I need it, I just want to know
there.
you're there. So I was like, okay, I can't go too far because if I get into some mess, which I'm known for, I wanted to make sure that somebody can still get to me.
Sure.
So went to U of H.
And then now, what were your options? U of H?
So
did you have other
University of Houston. What's another one? Oh, A&M. I went to visit A&M.
And I'm sure you got
I
there.
was like,
oh
no, we ain't doing this.
Nope.
Nope. I was like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, no,
but and then the campus was so big. I do remember the campus being so big, and I was like, in Lancaster, at the time we only had maybe less than 300 graduating class.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't want to be anywhere where I'm lost.
Right.
Like I feel overloaded. So I was like, okay, not ATM. I think I went to visited Stephen F. Austin.
Okay.
I was like, nope, this is Boondocks. And then U of H. So
okay, so U of H was the one
yes,
that had
U
the
of
most
H
people.
was the one. So I went there, met some awesome people who are still friends today, and man, we had so much fun. We had too much fun.
Now let me say this too.
Like-
On every podcast that we do, when we hear the phrase "it was fun,"
Yeah.
it was fun. It generally doesn't pan out. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I'll go
always-
into details.
Okay.
It was so much fun. There was a club called Rehab that closed at 4:00 in the morning,
Hey.
and we closed out that club all the time
The club closed at
at
4
4
a.m.
o'clock in the
Uh-huh.
morning. We would get there at 11,
Uh-huh.
and we would close. We would be the last one on the dance floor at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I had fun.
And we is this a crew that you
Yeah, this
acquired
my
there? This is
crew,
not
man.
people that
No,
that came.
I had a crew.
Okay. All right.
I had a crew that to this day we have, like, you know, you got your secrets in your
Yeah.
crew. So
Yeah.
Okay.
so yeah, so we had a crew. Yeah, I instantly, like, it's crazy because I went to Houston, I went to U of H. My roommate was part of the crew, and so we instantly connected. And then and then like 4 other girls. I don't know how we just connected, but we just created our crew. And we were the crew where we just made noise everywhere we went. And there was a lot of people who didn't like us. Because our crew, on the outside looking in, because we're girls, we were very, I guess you can, like, male dominant, like masculine. So we got along better. It's like we can get along with each other, but around like a whole other group of women, So we got along with a lot of guys. So we were friends with guys on the fraternities, football team, basketball team. So like I said, when we went, we made noise because the outside looking at us like, what they doing? We're like, we
Right.
ain't doing nothing.
What were y'all doing academically?
So we were going to school. Sometimes we were going to class. Yeah. So I did not make it the second year of U of H.
She had fun.
I tried so hard. So that, let's see, that spring semester, I flunked out. And my dad was like, you got to get it together. I was like, okay, I'll stay here for summer school. I promise I'll stay for summer school. Yeah, I didn't pass summer school neither. And, you know, because I think you're on probation. Then once you don't get out probation, then you're flunked
done,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was my last time. So came back home.
Now, what about the rest of the crew? Did anybody
They
else?
graduated.
Oh, they made
So
it.
it was 2 of us. So out of 5, 2 out of 5 didn't, well, including me. Like, we
Okay.
didn't make it, so we
Okay.
came back. But the other 3, they made it.
Okay.
They
Okay.
made it, and they tried really hard. Even after I came back, it was so funny. I still remember this conversation. I came back, still trying to figure things out because I was dealing with internal things, right? So I was like, all my family talk about was going to college.
Right.
And I know the work that they put in. And I felt like I was disappointment. Right. So I went through, mental, depression because I was like, I'm a disappointment. I failed my parents because I done went up there, acted a fool, all that. And now I'm back. So when I came back, I was still trying to figure out. I knew I always wanted to be in college and school, but I wanted to make sense of it.
Okay.
Right. So when you're the first of everything, you tend to and who talks about this? Diana Ross' daughter.
Oh,
Which one?
Tracy
Tracy
Ellis.
Ellis?
Yes, Tracy Ellis talked about this. So I went to, when Oprah, right before the pandemic, I went when she spoke, and she talked about this. She said, subconsciously, we do things because others have told us to do. And we thinking that it's us that want to do it.
Right.
But it's our subconscious because we have heard it over time.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to come back, I was like, okay, is this something I want to do? Because subconsciously I need to do it, but do I need to do it because I want to do it or because everybody else want me to do it?
Yeah, because you had the aptitude to succeed at it, and it's not like you didn't accomplish stuff that you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that was a good question to ask yourself.
Yes.
This is something I really want to do.
But then it was also like, it was that. And like I said, I felt like I was a disappointment to my parents. And then also me, it was the ego. The ego was like, I graduated National Honor Society. Why the hell I'm back?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Why this didn't work?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Am I dumb? like, like I had to go through all that. So coming back, going through all that, I'm not gonna say linked up with the wrong crowd, but I end up getting pregnant with my son at 19, had them when I was 20. And so, of course, I felt like there was disappointments on top of disappointments on top of disappointments.
Right.
Right.
And you probably also felt like, okay, I'm in that cycle. I'll look it up.
Yes.
I'm doing what we do.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that was my dad's
Yeah.
worst fear, right?
Yeah.
My dad's worst fear was I don't want to have a daughter who gets pregnant and have to lean on somebody else who can't lean on themselves. Not knowing that your daughter is gonna be great at whatever she's done, regardless of the circumstance. So I think that's the thing where, as people, we tend to kind of put people in this box and don't realize who the person in the box.
Right.
So
right.
my dad wasn't realizing who the person
Yeah.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
So came back, got pregnant. That was a whole story in itself. But got pregnant, told my dad. My dad was like, he already knew. And I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay. So he knew. And of course, my dad is very, what's the word? He's very tough.
Okay.
We speak the same love language.
Mhm.
If we're not on you, we don't love you.
Mm-hmm.
So our words are very powerful. That's how we express our love. And so my dad he was like, I ain't taking care of no kids. You laid up. This is your responsibility. But whatever it is, you going to finish school. And I was like, okay. Not knowing, like, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. So, you know, thought about like, okay, maybe, you know, I was like, okay. And I took a step back and I was like, okay, I wanted my child to be raised up in a family, right? Even though my family was blended, it still felt like a family.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I wanted my family to be raised up in the family. So, you know, me and his dad tried to work it out. That didn't work out. So I ended back at my dad's house, my dad and my stepmom's house. And I still stayed in school. I went to Cedar Valley. I took it in steps. That's the thing. It's like, when you tell kids to go to college, and especially when you're first generation and you've never done it, you can't communicate the steps. So all I heard my entire life was go to college, go to college, go to college.
Right.
Yeah.
But not given
But
a
now, what
plan.
does that mean?
You didn't
Yeah.
get a plan.
Like, how do you? Yeah.
I was like, okay,
what?
I'm in college.
So
Right.
now what? Yeah.
And now what? What do I do?
Right.
Like, and so when I came back, I still heard it, but now I had to be very intentional because I had another person I was responsible for, right? So I had to take it in steps because I was like, okay, this is my destination, but now it's going to take me longer because now I have a child. I have somebody else I have to be responsible for. I got to go and work. So how am I going to do this? So I took it in steps so that way I didn't quit again because I knew that I had to do this to the point where I had to graduate so bad where my husband proposed to me when I was still in school. And I said, I can't marry you until I graduate.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, what?
But I get it. That's good. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it because you didn't want any
You got this
possible
end
distraction.
goal. Yeah. You gotta. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So went to Cedar Valley, graduated there with my associates. And I wanted to get away so bad. I was looking at colleges outside of Texas, but I was like, oh, I got this baby. I can't go there.
And so, what are you trying to get away from, though? Because you got this guy who's proposed to you.
Well,
You
no,
got,
that was later.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So when my husband proposed to me, Zay was
okay.
2 or
This is
3.
after you had North
Yes,
Texas. Okay,
yeah. So this is after I North Texas. So I just wanted to get away, right? So it's kind of like I just wanted to go back and restart what I started again.
Gotcha.
And I was like, okay, I can't do that. I have a baby now. You know, you got, you know, the father. You can't, you know, got all those issues and stuff. So I was like, okay, I go to North Texas. And the crazy thing is, my dad and my parents, as encouraging as they were, just imagine they were also as extra protective because
Right.
now I brought another child. I
Right.
brought their grandchild. So they were bringing back everything that I had fought so hard not to deal with.
Right.
Because they were like, how you going to take care of the baby all the way up there? And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But now it was double. Because now I had not only had to make a decision for myself, I had to be responsible for the decision because now I got a baby that I'm responsible
Right.
for.
Right.
So
And to be honest, you know, the way they were probably looking at it was like, hey, look, we obviously didn't get her out
Yes.
the right way the first time.
Yes.
So they're like, shoot,
Yes.
let's now we're gonna double our
Yes.
efforts, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So
I get it.
I pushed through. I we moved to Denton.
Did
Me-
you and your child?
Me and my child, we moved up there. Because I had moved back home when I had Xavier, and I didn't move out till he was 2. My dad was just like, I'm not taking care of baby, but you won't have to pay bills here. So I had a plan. I was like, okay, I'm going to work. I'm going to save up a whole year of income so that when I move to North Texas, I can get acclimated.
Okay.
Being as far away as I was, a single mom, I don't have to rush into pushing myself. So I was able to pay bills, pay for all that for, without me having to work because I had a savings account, furnish an apartment, all that. And then, money goes away. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And it's not a matter of you can do this. You just kind of like, I don't have a choice.
Right.
And that's what it was. So now I was like, okay, now I got to get a full-time job. I still got to take care of Xavier. So how am I going? And I still got to go to school. How am I going to do this? So I found a job that will let me work 30 hours with full-time benefits. So I worked 30 hours. And the way I had it set up was my lunch break was set up when I had to go to class.
Okay.
Because then, your classes are only like, 40 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would go to class on my lunch breaks and then come back and finish working and then go pick up Zay and then get him situated and study when he went to sleep and start back all over again.
Wow.
Okay.
So I tell people, like, you can't, when challenges come, you can't just you can't think about the challenge.
Right.
Right.
Because the challenge is not going to go anywhere when you have a dream and you're trying to go get something.
Right.
So I knew that I had to go to college, not only for my parents, but also for my son, because I wanted you know how when you hear single moms, and there is nothing against single moms that have gone through this or anybody has been through this situation, but sometimes people will use their adversity as an excuse.
Right.
And I say, I'd be damned.
Yeah.
I'd be damned if my son tells me that he can't do something because I was
Just
a single
because,
mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you can't do that because I had you, or I'd be damned. You're not gonna do that.
Right.
So that was even more push
Yeah.
for
Sure.
me to get everything done. And so I didn't think about the stuff that I had to go through.
You just did.
You just did it.
Right.
You just wake up and did it. If I thought about it,
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, okay, this is too much.
man, that's for the birds. Like,
Right.
but you can't. You just have to get up and go. And I was such in a momentum mode where I had a vision and that I didn't have a choice to not accomplish that vision. And that's how I got into real estate. And people say, how did you get in real estate and become who you are? I didn't have a choice.
Right. Right.
Or at least I told myself I didn't have a choice. I
Right.
didn't have a choice for this not to work out.
So we'll just for the sake of time, we'll skip it up a little bit. But you ended up working in customer service at a bank.
Yes.
And I think that's very foundational to who you
Yes.
are in your professional life, because
Mm-hmm.
customer service became such a big part of what you did. And so tell us about that.
Yeah, so I loved customer service. And it's not, when people say I love customer service, it's not the people, because people crazy.
Right.
It's not the people, but it's the feeling that they get. The feeling you can give them, the experience you can give them. That's why I love it. So when I was in banking, they were just now pushing out like ATM deposits. So let's take it back. So as a manager in the banking center, I had a policy. And the policy is every person that came into the market center as a teller, you need to know their name.
So every teller needs to know, all the customers
you
who
need
would come
to-
in, that they need to know their
You
name.
need to know their name.
Okay.
You need to know their name as to the point where when you got a customer in front of you and you look up and you see them walking in, hey, Mr. Jones.
Okay. All about relationships.
You had to do that because I looked at it as these people are bringing their hard-earned money to this bank.
Right.
And they're trusting us to deposit this money and help them with all this. The least you can do is know them from a first name basis.
Right.
Right? So that's how I got started. And of course, like I said, it changed over to where ATM, deposits. And I was like, okay, there's about to be a change because now they're bringing the clients to go to the ATM. I want to keep the relationship with my clients.
Right.
And that's how
you saw the writing on the wall that this is
It's about to be
Yeah,
no
this is
more
gonna be-
face to face.
yeah, this is about to change. But in the meantime, because I had that approach of standard that my tellers need to know people on a first name basis, of course, I had to keep that standard to the point where a lot of things. So my goal was to travel the CEO ladder.
Okay.
I mean, the corporate ladder, right? So I was wanting to travel the corporate ladder, finding the things that I need to do, right? And I would do them, but nothing was happening.
okay.
And I was like, okay, there's this not as easy as maybe people seem like it. So this is really some system and tricks inside this. So I was like, so I just kind of put that in the back of my mind. And there was a client, I cannot remember his name. I bring him up a lot. There was a client that he came in a lot. And one time he came in and I had the courage to ask him. I had never seen so many accounts with so many zeros.
Okay.
Not negative,
Uh-huh.
Right.
like
Right,
positive
right.
zeros. And it was a lot. And I'm very observant and I am curious. So part of my dad was like, the curiosity gonna kill that cat.
Right.
And I'm like, I ain't there yet.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, how did you get this? And he's like, what do you mean? I turned that screen around and I said, you see this? How did you get this? And he's like, I started a business. And I said, okay, well, talk to me more about that.
Uh-huh.
So he was a Dallas firefighter.
Okay.
And he said, when you work for a job that has value as that, your pay that you get up front isn't worth it, but the long term is. The annuity, the pensions, the retirement.
Right.
So he was like, I know that I'm sacrificing the money now to get to here.
Okay.
Most people will stop there, waiting to get there.
Right.
He did not.
Right.
So what he did was firefighters work like 3 to 4 days.
Uh-huh.
He said, on the days that I'm off, I created a landscaping business. He said, I will go and mow and hedge and all that stuff. And he said, I got enough customers where now I started hiring help. And so he started hiring help. And then now he built it to where now he just managed it.
Right.
And so now he got the money coming from his job, let alone the money coming from his business. So what he taught me was he wasn't living on the money for the business. He was taking care of the kids financially on the present for the kids, for the money coming in for the business. He'll reap his results when he retire.
All right.
So these kids had trust accounts with like zeros
Gotcha.
in their account. And when he said that, I was like, okay. I don't know what this mean. I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm gonna keep it here.
Right.
I'm gonna keep it here. Fast forward backwards, when I was in banking at First Convenience Bank, right after I had Xavier, this guy came to me and prophesied to me.
Okay.
And he said, he came in, I don't know, I think I had saw him for the first time. And he said, you're not supposed to be here. And I said, where I'm supposed to be? Because I got a baby to take care of.
Right.
And he's like, you're not supposed to be here. You are a business owner. And I said, no, sir. I like my checks on the 15th and the 31st.
Right.
I like my benefits. And he's like, no, you're not supposed to be here. So that was that. So that was what 7 years before I got to working at the bank that I was working at then. And then that's when I started talking to that guy. And so, like I said, I just kind of collected the information subconsciously, because remember, subconsciously is the most powerful part of your brain rather than the conscious side. So not realizing I'm putting it in my subconscious, and then everything just like started like connecting.
Yeah.
So, got done with banking, had my second son, and
Are you married now?
yes.
Okay.
So been married 15 years. I can remember that because we just celebrated our anniversary on Wednesday. Up until Wednesday, I didn't know how long we've been married.
Oh, congratulations. 15 years.
So wait, did you know last year on the 4th?
I always know the date
The day
of that
of.
because my husband will tell me.
Okay. I was
But
like,
up until that time, he's like, "How long you been married?" I'm like, I
that's
don't
my
know.
husband.
Let me ask my dad. Let me ask my husband because I don't know.
Right.
So been married 15 years. We've been together 18. So we had our second son who is now 12. And, you know, I went on maternity leave. And this dude never took a bottle. So I was forced, you know, I couldn't go back to work.
Right.
I mean, how do I send a child to daycare who won't take
Right.
I can't leave my job
Even
every 3
with
hours.
the breast milk, he wouldn't
He
take the
did
bottle.
not.
Oh.
I mean, you're talking about I spent $30 on one bottle because it's supposed to resemble a breast.
Right. And that's
The
still.
skin, the temperature, and everything. That dude did not
Oh
take
my
that
God.
bottle.
He's like, no, I want you.
Yes. And he's still like that to this day. So yeah. So I didn't go back. And so when it was time for me to go back, you know, husband was like, "Hey, what you want to do?" And so I gave him a list. You know, I told him, I was like, I want a job that I work 12, 14 hours. If I got to do that, I got to do that. But if I'm gone in 3, deuce, gone. I'm gone.
Right.
And I, you know, kind of gave him other lists, and he looked at me. He's like, "Good luck finding a job, because that's not corporate." And so we kind of, you know, went back and forth, and he's like, "Why don't you do real estate?" My response again, I like my check on the 15th and the 31st,
Right.
and the 30th, if it's
But-
not the 31st.
But real estate came to his mind because of the perceived flexibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
the perceived
Right.
flexibility and the perceived
can be at
flexibility
home,
that
yeah.
comes with the money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And my wife is a people person.
Right. So, but you listened to it,
I did.
and you like, what do you think?
I
You think,
did.
okay, this is this.
So yeah,
could
so
work.
what I did was I listened to him. I had a good friend who's in real estate, and I went to him. And the difference of me going to him, I didn't go to him and ask him how much he gonna make
Right.
or how much can he make, or I said, tell me your worst stories. Because I come from banking.
Right.
I've had stuff thrown at me. I had people approach me. If I tell them no, I can't deposit that check, I'll find them in the store. They'll come to me, be like, "You remember me? You didn't deposit my
Oh,
money."
really?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Banking is a whole nother. When you dealing with people money,
Yeah.
it's a whole
Yeah.
nother level. So I went to my friend who was in real estate. He had been in it, 20 some years. I said, "What's your worst story?" And the stories he told me, I was like, "Oh, that ain't nothing. I don't got stuff thrown at me and
Right.
threatened to call the cops." You know, so I was like,
Right.
"That ain't nothing." So then I made the decision to get my real estate license.
So you go take your real estate classes and all that good
Yes.
stuff, and then you decide on a brokerage. And I think you originally went to Century 21,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Century
yes.
21. And that's where I kind of first heard about you, because I kind of saw the production. I was, we were Century 21 family
Mm-hmm.
today, and I was like, okay, doing pretty good over here. And so you do well at Century 21.
Mm-hmm.
And you make some other really good friends
Yes.
there. Our good
Yes.
buddy Tiffany
Yes.
Todd was
Yes.
one of your
Yes.
buddies. Is today? She's got a birthday coming up
Today
today. I
is
think-
her birthday.
Today is her birthday.
Yes, happy birthday,
Well, happy
Tiffany.
birthday, Tiffany, the big
Birthday.
48, big 48.
She's not.
I was gonna say, she's
But
not
for-
48. I was like, dang, she was real good. For
She's not 48. I'm just giving her a hard time.
Do that to her.
But shout out to Chip Todd. It's her birthday today.
Oh wait, so what year was it that you got in your real
So
estate?
I got my real estate license December 2011. Sorry, get them confused.
Okay.
December 2011 or January 2012.
Okay.
So those kind of blend.
Okay.
So that's when I got my real estate license. And like when I got the license, my mindset was, because remember we were one income household.
Right.
Because I couldn't work for 15 months.
Right.
And so I was like, because the classes, I mean, they were expensive. I mean, was $1,500? I don't know how much they are now, but I think back it was like $1,800 or something. And I was like, this is a lot of money,
Right.
you know? And my mindset was, if I spend this money on these classes, I'm not trying this out.
Right. This has
right.
got to be.
This
Yeah, this is
gotta
gonna-
work.
Right.
Like this has to work because I want my money.
Sure.
Right. And that was a mindset. So I jumped in it. I remember my husband used to say, so I go to the office. I would drop Jackson off like around 8:39. I go to the office from 9 and then come back to 3 to pick up Xavier and Jackson. And my husband used to say, "Why are you going to the office? You don't have no clients." And I said, I got a job.
Right. And I go there so that I can
Right.
get clients.
Exactly.
Right.
But not even knowing, I was just like, this is what,
Yeah.
not even knowing that that's what you have to do. I
Right.
was just like, I just paid $1,500 to take this
I'm
test.
about to be in this office.
I'm about to be in this
Right.
office. So they're going to run $1,500 worth of electricity or
Right.
water. Like, I'm about to be in this office.
trying to figure it out somehow.
So I would get dressed
Right.
and like I'm going to work.
Uh-huh.
Like
Right.
I went into the office, and so I would go in. There's always something to do, right? So back then we didn't have Instagram, like we didn't have as much social media presence.
Right.
But you had to go make sure your website was working. You had to make sure all this is done. And I would literally just be hearing people conversations.
Right.
And then I figured out, I overheard a top producing agent say, "Oh, I don't work with leases." And I was like, okay. And I instantly thought of a plan. I was like, okay, I'm going to every office meeting and I'm going to write down the names of all the top producers. And you know how they had the dashboard with Judge Fight. You can see all the top producers' names. I will write their names down and I will send an email to them once a month. And I'll say, hey, if you're too busy to work leases, please send them my way. I service these areas.
Okay.
Huh.
That's a good plan.
That's very smart.
Not
Uh-huh.
even knowing. But I'm like, you ain't doing leases?
Right.
Right.
Well, I'll take them.
I'll take them.
All right.
Like, that's money.
Well, so and it's funny you would say because I want you to continue that particular
Yes.
story because right now there are, you know, in the capacity that I'm in here at Monument, I get to encounter a lot of the new agents who are trying to make it in this thing, and you'd be surprised how many I'm saying, well, no, I don't want to do leases.
Not brand new.
I'm like, do you want to? I'm like, I'm like, what you doing
gotta
instead?
do
I mean,
it. What you
what's got your time taken up that you can't do leases? I'm like, tell me something. I'm lost. I'm like, somebody not making any money. I don't do leases. Wayne Bartley, who's one of our highest producers,
Prosper, right?
like $25 million dude, and Wayne got started kind of the same
Doing
way.
leases.
He basically said, okay, I got this. Because he heard other people in the office talking about, I don't do leases. And Wayne was like, shoot, I'll do them.
They're going to end up buying.
So
But I wasn't
his-
even thinking that.
No,
I was
Yeah.
just like,
you need
I
money.
need something.
Needs him right.
Yeah.
He was thinking, okay, I'll go get out. He said there's enough. He said they don't bring in a lot, but it was enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And what he focused on, what he realized, all of these have expiration dates on these leases. And so what I'm gonna do is start working on getting them ready to buy a house.
So leading to that, that's what I did. So of course you learn, like I tell people, when you get into real estate, yes, the school teach you how to pass a test, but when you actually get done with the test, they don't teach you like how to get out and aware of the mistakes and all that other stuff,
Right.
which you can because people are variables,
Right.
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
So I did almost quit doing leases. So I had a lease client who was referred to me, and she didn't have a car.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of red. That was a big red flag there.
listen,
Already.
but I
Not to
was
sound
just
like a
kind of
familiar
like,
story.
well, I can still help you, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, I will meet her at the bus stop to pick her up, go look at the houses, and then drop her back off. And then one time, so she picked the house, and she's like, hey, I don't have the security deposit.
No, wait.
I said, okay. You know, and this is my first one. Like,
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
I say, okay, how much do you have? And she's like, I don't have anything. And she said, can you see if the landlord will add my security deposit each month to the rent?
Oh.
I know security deposit is for like if something happens.
Right.
They
Right.
need that money up
Up
front.
front.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said,
All
no,
right.
that's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. So once I figured it, because it doesn't take me long to figure things out.
Right.
So once I figured it out, I was like, okay, yeah, that won't happen again.
Right.
Waste of
That is
time,
not going to
guys.
happen
Right.
again. So you create a system,
Uh-huh.
right? I create a system where anybody who's looking for a lease calls me. I will ask them like literally hard questions. Do you have any bankruptcy? Do you have any delinquents? Do you have anything negative on your credit? Like I'll ask them everything. But being in banking, when you're dealing with personal information, people are very private with their stuff.
Right.
They'll share with you, but they need to know why.
Right.
So I figured out a way to get them to tell me stuff. And at first, when you ask them, there was so many dead silence responses when I asked them the question, like, And I figured out a way. I said, okay, let me tell them, if you don't tell me this, the landlord is going to find out.
Right.
And when the landlord finds out, they're going to call me and ask me about it. You know what I'm going to tell them? I didn't know that.
Right.
I can't fight for you.
Right.
I can't defend for you. I said, so you got to tell me as much as you can so that way when the boards come to shove, like I can be your support and I can help you.
Right.
But they'll tell you everything.
Right.
But you learn the system. And then I quickly learned like the expiration date. So I said, hey, I'm helping you with a lease, but the next time you call me, we're buying.
Right.
I'm not doing this again.
Right.
Then I was you have to be transparent and honest because people's perceptions are different.
Right.
Like one lease client thought I got paid every time I opened the door.
Oh yeah, you gotta let them know.
Yeah,
Oh no,
people
I
really
told
think-
her.
yeah.
I said, no, I don't get paid until you get the keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get the keys, this is what I get paid. Oh, and let me tell you how much that is.
Right.
Because I told her that, she referred me a New York buyer relocating here that bought a $400,000 house.
Right. Nice.
Right? Because she's like, oh my gosh, like this girl is always here to show me a lease property, but she's only getting paid $300.
Right.
But
Right.
she's always available. And I know she got a family to take care of.
Exactly.
So they were willing to help me.
Why are you saying that too? Because one of the things I heard you say this, and I was like, okay, that's really cool. And you say it with such sincerity because it's true. I heard you asking someone for a referral. And
Yes.
tell me, how do you ask
Yes.
for a referral? Can you share that with us?
So the story behind it is I'm part of the Buffini network. Okay. And so they tell you that, you know, you're supposed to tell your clients I work by referrals. Working by referrals mean nothing to the corporate world.
Right.
Why? Because if they don't go in, they got PTO, they got paid sick time, they got vacation time. They still get paid if they don't walk into that office. So I had to piggyback. So it was a level of growth. So the first one was, I'm never too busy for your referrals. And then I changed it and said, hey, I'm never too busy for your referrals because without your referrals, they are the lifeline to my business. Then I changed it and said, hey, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Without your referrals, they are the lifeline to my business that can take care of my family. Then it evolved and I started adding names to the family. Then it evolved and said, hey, without your referrals, I can't take care of my family, such and such, such and such, and also provide the experiences that I provide to you. That is the client events, birthday parties, wedding, and, you know, all those things. Without that, I cannot provide it. So what happens is when I do my buyer consultations, there is a section that talks about why I work by referral. And at the end, it talks about what I give back to my referral network. And I tell them how much it costs me. I have no problem telling them it costs me $10,000 to do this for you. But I have a choice as a business owner. I can give this $10,000 to you because you're supporting me, or I can give this $10,000 to a marketing agency, a stranger that I don't know. So I would like to give it back to you because without your support, I won't have the business that I have, but I want to give you the experiences that I, as my gratitude of being my client, of I don't care how long you've been my client, I want to give this back to you.
Right. Right.
That now they understand the definition of referrals.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, and the evolution of how you phrase that. I think when the part where I heard you say it, you basically explained to them, hey, this is how I feed my family. And I was like, I don't know if I've ever expressed that to someone because they don't know. They see
No.
that you're successful and like, how he doing now? He's making all the money. They doing all this stuff,
Right.
but they don't realize that, it is based on look, I've done a great job for you. What I would love for you to do is send more business my way because that is literally how I feed
That's
my
how
family.
my family.
And so, but your transparency about that, I thought was really, I just hadn't heard anybody do it quite like that. And I felt like it probably did elicit a response
It did.
to where they say, oh, yeah, we want to make sure you're top of mind. They
It
want to make
did.
sure you get business.
Yeah. And
It
I like how
did.
you said at the end too. I want to get this experience to
Yes.
your friends and
Yes.
family, or
So I
client investors,
tell
want
them
this.
when I come up, you come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a client who's been with me since I've been in real estate, and one of them last year asked me, he's moving. He moved from Frisco to Houston, and then so I helped him and his family, all this other stuff. And he said, "How can I get you to Houston? Like whenever I get ready to sell?" And I said, "That's a great question." I said, "You want to know my audacious goal is?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "I want to be able to fly to wherever you are, but I can't do that with extra referrals.
All right.
Because private planes and flights are expensive.
Right.
And he's like, I got you. Right. So it's like people want to be part of things that's great, but you can't expect that you being great and you're not giving something back to them. Right. So I like to give back to them because I do appreciate what they do. I like that they stand behind my name. And I want to sometimes in life, depending on what environment or how you grew up, you have a limiting belief of what experiences you deserve or the things you deserve in life. And I never want anybody to feel like that because I have felt like that once before, and you have to fight through it, right? It takes a lot of work to get to where I am mentally. So if I have a client, of course, you don't know those things, but you can kind of, when you help a client and they're so excited about buying a house and you know the journey that they went through, the house is not the cherry on top.
Right.
The house is just the cone.
Right.
Right? It's just the cone. And now you got to add the ice cream and the sprinkles and everything else. And I tell them, that's what I'm doing. You got the house, you got the cone, but by being in my world, I want to give you the experiences that you thought you could not deserve.
Right.
Because if I can give them to you and you can tell your brain that you do deserve these things, then you would now be responsible to go out and get everything else.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Absolutely. And so you go to Central 21, do a bang up job, you do really well there, and you're kind of moving up, and everybody kind of knows your name now, and you're starting to get business from everywhere.
Everywhere.
You're able to do stuff,
Everywhere.
whether it's Frisco or down in your home
Yes.
place of Lancaster.
Yes.
And so, but how does one? You know, one of the things that we would see a lot of times, especially for African American agents, especially if they started like in DeSoto or Cedar Hill, something like that, but they say, okay, but I don't want to be just pegged as an agent who only does DeSoto, only does Cedar Hill, because this industry will do that to
Yes,
you. It will
yes,
try to say,
yes,
this is
yes,
your area,
yes,
right?
yes.
How did you ensure that didn't happen to you?
I mean, it's just communicating, right? You communicate what people can't see. So when people Google me, they see I'm a native to Dallas. They see that I specialize in relocation. So I make sure that they understand that I can help your clients anywhere, no matter where they're moving, as long as my car and my license can take me there.
Right.
It's just communicating that and not being sometimes. So I have a quote that I have to remind myself often is, don't let being humble determine your self-worth.
Okay.
And what that means is you can be so humble where you don't expect things to come to you. And I'm not going to do that, because to get what I have is not, I am humble and I'm grateful, but I want more.
Right.
I want as much that God can give me. So it's like, I don't want to, being too humble, you're closing your bank account too early. Right. So I'm not afraid to tell my clients, like, I'm not afraid to say, yeah, I won this award. Okay, now what else you got?
Right. And that's
Right?
and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I think just upbringing, because me, for years and years, I've always been kind of, it's kind of, yeah, cool, yeah, we've accomplished this, done that, all that kind of stuff. But that's not something I kind of just push out there. But I'll see other people, I'm like, dude, this dude ain't done a fourth of what I've done. But you think they the greatest thing ever, and they reap benefits from that. I'm like, yeah, you the stupid one.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
letting this cat out here say all this
Yes.
stuff, and you the one,
Yeah.
been doing this for 500
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And so you have to realize that the person who can control the narrative and then publicize the narrative, they win. They
Yeah.
always win.
Yeah.
And so don't be bashful
Don't
about
downplay. Don't
Yeah.
downplay what you've done to get to the level that you are, and don't downplay that the level you are is not where you want to be.
Right, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
That you
you
aspire
can't-
to even greater
Right.
than
You
that.
can't. So like me, like I am a naturally shy person. Like, I don't like to be on stage, but I will be on stage for the benefit of others, right? Like helping you out on podcasts and all that. I'll do that for others. I'm not doing it for my glory. So once I understood that and realized that even pushed more ammunition behind me to keep doing it, because I can stand behind everybody that I helped.
Right.
I'm not on stage. Like, yes, I helped you get here, but this is your stage. I'm just standing here directing. Just get on stage.
Right. And so you leave Central 21, go to Keller Williams, great career at Keller Williams, Keller Williams Plano.
Yes.
Good people over there, outstanding office. Keller Williams, I've always said, it's, so
It's a great company.
yeah, it is. And Central 21 is probably my third favorite, and Keller Williams would have to be my second favorite. And of course, my favorite is Monument. But you, and here's the thing too, you are also a creature of habit too. So it's not like you're going to make a rash move and just jump and do something. And so, but at certain points though, there is something that happens, or not even something that happens. There's something that needs to happen.
Yes.
That will provoke you to make a change.
Yes.
And so that, I'm sure, is what has always made, when you do finally make a move, is because of that. And I think the biggest thing that I saw with you, that, and there's a lot of great real estate agents, I say that all the time, but there's a rare quality where somebody else has the ability to, they're a great agent, very successful, but it's only a few people who have the ability to inspire others and bring others up to that level, or try to set a standard where you want everybody else to rise to.
Yes.
And that's always been in you.
Yes.
Even when we were talking a few days ago, and I'm like, why do you know what Brandon Small is doing? So she was like, we're talking about Brandon, and everybody knows Brandon. Everybody knows Brandon. Brandon's done great. Brandon is in his short time here is doing phenomenal. But then I'm talking to Tanisha, and she's like, he's doing great, but we need,
he ain't reach his level.
We need to double that.
Yes.
I'm like, why are you talking to me about it? You didn't talk to Brandon. I'm like, but I was like, you're right. You're right. And I was like, you don't normally see people who are doing so well and so busy in their own thing who
think about others,
who are paying attention to others like that, who it felt to me in you saying that, and I know this is what you do, I could see you even sacrificing things that would probably be available to you in order to help somebody else. Right? That there's a level of selfishness that you could go to and just do all that, but you would say, no, look, I've been blessed with this, I'm doing all this, but I see this guy, I see this girl, I see these, and they need to be on this level, right? And so when I saw that, I was like, this is a special kind of talent. But it felt like there was a restriction there. I was like, this talent needs to be showcased in such a way. And, like I said, too, it's almost like, and I will say this, so this won't sound humble at all, because I'm comparing myself to Quincy Jones. So, but I'm like, so we look at the real estate industry very much like the music industry, right? Yes. We always have, because I've always said it too. And so it's almost like the companies where we work, or these big record labels, and the talent that you bring there, these are the artists. But there's a layer there that you have to have, and that's the producers, the engineers, and all those folks who will then bring the most out of the talent that comes there and help that talent become the biggest thing ever. And so I love to talk about how Michael Jackson, who was always, he's huge already, right? Jackson 5, Motown, Michael Jackson was the man. And the Jacksons was it. But there was another level that Michael could go to, right? And it wasn't until Michael said, okay, you know what? Motown has been me, but I gotta leave Motown. I gotta go to Epic Records, and I gotta go to Epic because I need to be also there with Quincy. And I know Epic's gonna do everything to support me and do all the stuff, and Quincy's gonna be there to push me in a way that's a little different than what's been happening. And together we can create something that's never been done before. And there we have Off the Wall, and then after Off the Wall, the greatest album of all time as far as selling wise, right? It's Thriller. And so, and I always mess with Tanisha. I was like, dude, let's do this, Michael. Let me get, because I'm going to find a red jacket.
I am not wearing a red jacket.
She already said she said she's not gonna do it, but
I am not.
Wait, what?
The red,
I know
studs.
what you're talking about. Y'all
I'm
are
not.
both gonna wear a red jacket?
No, heck no.
I'm not wearing a red jacket.
You're
no,
gonna wear a red jacket.
no,
He's
no.
gonna wear a red
I'm not wearing a red jacket. I'm Quincy. Remember, she Michael. So
You wanted her to wear the-
I didn't want her to wear the red jacket.
Oh.
The jacket was simply going to be symbolic of us trying to create something that hadn't been created before. She was not going to be forced to wear a red
Oh, what she
jacket.
said? I'm not wearing a red jacket. So I'm like, wait, were you about to have her in costume?
I was like, we're
Come
not
here
going to do
doing the
that.
moonwalk.
No. See how, Benita, you messing
You
it
know
all up.
I'm sorry.
You messing it all up. So maybe we just framed the red jacket or something. But my point is that I think there's a level that there's so many other agents out there who are really good, really great agents, but we want everybody to be at your highest level,
Yes,
at
your
full
best.
potential.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I don't know
Yes.
that the industry inherently wants that necessarily. I don't think the industry
It's
itself
the quality
pushes
over the
that.
quantity.
Correct. So that was, we used to, there are other places, I'm not saying places where I was before, but there are places that, just bring them in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you
Yeah.
breathing, you got a chance to, as long as you're paying that monthly fee, you're good. Right. But it doesn't do that. That really
It can't.
is not a benefit to the industry. It's not a benefit to the agents. It's not. So bring people in that are talented folks, or at least people who want to be, who are dedicated to the craft, or that really want to do well, and then support them in such a way that whatever their highest level of potential is, they can attain it. And so it was a must that we had Tanisha come to Monument.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We had and that was the I say all that to say because we went really long. on here today.
I think so.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Somebody hasn't put the time yet.
No,
so
she
I
put
guess
the time
we're
up.
good.
No, she put the time
Oh.
up several times. So,
I see.
yeah, Marcella's on her job. But so I say all that to say, when you get an opportunity to get somebody who in the last handful of years they'll close over $70 million by themselves, and here's what's cool about it too. So you got a lot of people say, "Oh, and I closed, $100 million in the last, 5 years." But then you look at the deal, and they got 17, 20 agents working under them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
they're like,
Yes.
really?
Well, of course you did.
Do we need to now
Yes.
do math and
Right.
divide that
Who-
amongst the?
Yeah.
I'm like, but
You
this,
didn't do it alone.
you didn't do it alone. And so here she is. She's got an assistant,
Yes.
and she's a loyal assistant.
Yes.
Thank God for Peggy is
Peggy.
Peggy is the glue, because I don't know if somebody can even text message. But the deal is, I digress. But so here she is doing all this business with her assistant. And here's what and you've also learned that this is a business.
No,
and so
yes,
you don't mind
yes.
hiring people to do
Yes,
this, hiring a
yes,
person to do that.
yes,
It's a
yes,
business.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
it is. It's a business, but then once I understood that, okay, so life happened where I was doing it by myself. I was doing it by myself, closing 40 deals a year, and I had to go back and say, why did I get into real estate? Right? Because I had to make a lot of sacrifices, missing games, being up late. Like, I missed a lot of things, but I knew that was at my decision, right? Nobody made it. Nobody forced me. I knew that was a sacrifice I was going to have to do once I understood what business I was in. And so I had to say, okay, how much more do I want to sacrifice? Because once you become aware, anything else, you're responsible for that. So I was like, okay, how much more do I want to sacrifice? And that's when I was like, okay, I don't want to sacrifice too much more, but I'm still going to do what I have to do. But in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to leverage. I'm going to have to bring people in to help me, so that way I don't continue to miss anything else, because I'm aware now. And that's what changed my mind and my mindset, because I wanted to do more.
Sure. You wanted to do more. You wanted to be available more to your family and all that
Yes.
stuff. But you also wanted to do more in business.
I
And
did,
as
yes.
you brought in more,
Yes.
more
Yes.
happened.
More
started
started
producing more,
coming.
right.
Yes, you start bringing in leverage, but it's the leverage that you bring. People say you just hire people. No, they have to understand what your expectations are, what your vision is, to the point where, like, now Peggy's on board. I was very intentional of making sure she understood who I was as a person, who I was as a business owner, and where I want this business to be and my expectations of her. And once she understood that, she was like, okay, cool, I'm on board. But she did go through a process. And you have to make sure that, because I did do the VA, the virtual assistant, outsourcing, but my vision is so big. It's so big, and it's so bigger than what I am, what I have capability of doing right now. So when I hire a VA, I was like, they were taking me these small steps. I'm like, look, come on. And it just wasn't working for me. So I was like, okay, I need to hire a real person. Like I need to bring somebody in to the point where like we're all plugged in. And Peggy is fully on board. And it's like when she came to me, she did work with another agent. And so coming here, I run things differently. I told her, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to micromanage you. But what I'm going to tell you is that we need to get there. I don't give a care how we get there. But we're going to get there with excellence, expectations, and our clients are going to get taken care of. But I don't care what you do behind the scenes.
Right.
You got my full support because this is you. I just want to get there.
Right.
And we created that relationship where we're transparent, where I'll tell her, hey, as we get going, if there's things that's part of your job and you're like, oh my God, this is so boring. I said, just tell me. We can outsource anything. But I told her, I said, your expectations is once we get this going, you will have an assistant. And that assistant will have an assistant. This is how I want my business to be, because I don't want to be on top and I'm living the best life
Where everybody
and people else is struggling.
Right.
I can't do that.
Right.
So I'm like, I want you. And I told her, I said, I want to get to a point where we're running this business. I'm like, hey, Peggy, you want to go to Mexico next month?
Right. Right.
And the business is still moving.
Absolutely.
I said, that's how I just want to. I remember growing up, I used to have these ideas, and my grandma used to tell me, baby, that ain't the real world. But I had these ideas, and I continued to have them. And even though I heard my grandma say, baby, this ain't the real world, because I don't hear no, you know what I said? I said, okay, I'm going to create my own.
Right.
I'm going to create my own world. And it's what you got to do to live in it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I want it.
And it's that attitude about it, and it's that perspective on it that allows you to create just this mammoth business.
And it goes from just once you understand that every day you wake up, your breath is a blessing from God. And what you do with that is your responsibility. It's not his. It's not your parents. It's not anybody. It's yours. So when things go, when we leave this earth, you're going to have to answer. People say, oh, you got to answer to God. No, you're answering to yourself.
Right.
You're not answering to God because God done did everything he was supposed to do.
Right.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to answer to yourself. So that, if anything, that is my fear. That's my fear, is that at the end of my journey, I get there and I either was scared or I didn't do what God told me to do, or do whatever desires is in me. And I lay and I say, I didn't do it.
Right.
I want to be able to say I did it, and work out that way, but okay. Or I tried it, or I did it and it was great.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be there and be like, and live with regret, because I got to answer to me.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's what keeps me accountable, because I got to answer to me.
Absolutely. Love it. So this would be a good segue here, because what we've been trying to push Tanisha to do, and I think she's committed to do it, and hopefully she'll start in May, is that, so Tanisha has a lot of knowledge that she does not mind very freely sharing. And so we've got a whole, not just on real estate. So she anything, if you need to buy a house, sell a house, she got that in the back of her hand. But life stuff,
I don't have all the answers. I will say I don't have the answers, but I can give you that first step. That's why I tell people, I'll give you the first step. What you do with it is what you do with it.
Right.
But I'll give you that first step.
Well, even those who, from an entrepreneurial perspective, those who want to start a business, or those who specifically want to get into real estate, I mean, there's no better person that they can look to who can say, okay, this is what
This
I
is
did.
what you're going to do. This is the
what-
challenges. This is what you're going to come across. That's how you overcome the challenges, like all that.
And from a person who doesn't take excuses.
Yeah.
So
I don't hear no's.
yeah. And so when you come with that excuse, I couldn't do this because this and this, my baby daddy tripping on it.
You
It's
gotta
not,
go.
it's not gonna work with her.
You gotta go.
So so two things. We want to first thank you, Tanisha,
Oh,
for coming
thank
today.
you.
This was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Honored. This is fun.
This is a lot of fun, and we look forward to you doing this. On with you, whatever kind of
Yes.
setup you're gonna have.
Yes.
And also those who are interested in, because Tanisha is also, she didn't just join Monument as a business owner. She's also in our leadership group now
Yes.
too. So if
Yes.
anybody who
I'm
is
excited.
Yeah.
anybody interested in coming over to
Yeah. If you got
Monument.
any questions of how it works, how the model can help your business, just hit me up. I'm more than happy to share. And I will say when I do share, it's very 100% honest. Like I don't get paid from these
Yeah.
brokers.
yeah. She'll tell you the truth, and she'll also tell you the truth if this
it's
is what you
not.
need to be
Right,
doing
right.
too. Like if maybe if 9 to 5 is in your future, that'd be a
To each his
discussion too,
own.
right?
No judgment. A free judgment zone. That's how I feel. There's
Right.
no judging. Everybody
Right.
got their own pathway to life.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a blast. This was fun.
Yes.
Look forward to doing
Thank
it again.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Those of you who
you.
like, subscribe. What am I supposed to say? Like, subscribe,
Like, subscribe, share.
share. Okay, thank you. Do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Comment. In fact,
Right.
y'all comment. Do some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment and let us know what
yeah,
y'all want to know.
let us know.
There
yeah.
you go. Something like that.
What you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is good. Y'all have a good one. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Bye.